And we're back, straight out of the Soca factory here. I want to shout out to all the fans. Today we're talking about a very important topic today. Talking about Gainstaging the mix. So we're going to talk about that. Shout out to all the fans, all the YouTube subscribers. Hit me up. Lock in, guys. We're going to be talking about a very important topic here. And when I mean important, the reason producers' mix are going down is because they're not gainstaging. So you're watching me live from the Producer's Village. Live stream mix session tips and solutions. Gainstaging. So let's get right down into it. So here's my beat. Go back to the horn section. It's a Destra Garcia type beat here. This one's gonna be in the store. Remember the link in the description. So let's get right down into it. Okay, so what is gainstaging? Gainstaging is preparing your mix to have optimum volume. And when I mean optimal volume that is not clipping. As you go ahead and mix in your session, you might notice that the overall volume gets louder of the entire mix. Maybe your kick drums a little bit over the bass, maybe the vocals is a little bit over the drums, and all these different instruments, here, causes an overall volume spike. As you can see right here, I'm getting a little bit of ping here, but not to worry, I'm going to show you some tricks. So this is a rhythm I made, but let's say an artist send me these files. I can see, as you can see, I'm clipping a little bit red here. You're gonna play the track. I'm getting some serious red here. How do I know if I'm too hot? I can use analyzers. Let's try the LM from Waves. I'm gonna tell you how loud this thing is generally. It's too loud. It's sounding good, but it's a little bit too loud. And one of my tips, guys and girls, when I mix for people, even if it's hardcore soca, trap beat, reggae, whatever, I'm mixing quiet because I can bring up the volume. At the end, let's play a track here. You can see there, I'm pinging at about -15. That's too hot. You might say, well, Ray, where should you start? At least -12 dB. Now check this out. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just zooming here. I'm not increasing the volume or anything. If you check out the fader over here, you might see it's about -12. That's on the individual track, but the entire mix is too loud. As you can see, it's about -15, which is, it's very loud for RMS. So we don't want to take the faders and say, okay, what I'm going to start mix, I'm going to pull down this here, I'm going to go there. Because if we're getting our faders over our main out here, which is generally at 0, it's going to mess up the entire mix. It's going to sound unnatural. It's going to sound, maybe cause some phasing issues. So what you want to do, since we are at 0, let's take all faders to, let's take it to 0, and we're gonna bring down the level of the tracks. Now there are different ways you can do this. So what you can do first, you can highlight all the tracks here. I'm gonna click my shift button here. I can click all these tracks. I can right click. I can group them. Let's see, group selected tracks. Turn into a group, and I can take all of them down. Now if I turn back on the WLM menu, as you can see, the volume is a little bit at negative 24, but you want to start around here. Then you can go ahead and take up the individual faders. Let's ungroup this. This off group. When you start a mix, guys, make your mix judgment under 0. So if I'm starting, let's say I'm starting with the kick here. I'm starting with the kick. I want to bring in the bass. This is how we're going to do it, right? You see why we need to get everything under 0. Now there are no rules to mixing. Sometimes I break the rules a little bit. Maybe I take a little snare a little bit above 0, but it's okay because I know what I'm doing. But generally you want to make sure you control the overall volume. Keep an eye on that. So when you get to balance all the tracks here, you can control the overall volume on the mix buses. Generally, what I'll do, I'm going to add, let's see, L2, so we don't clip the output. I'm going to add an L2 from waves, and I'm going to set the output ceiling. I'm going to show you another way how we gain stage, how we keep these faders balanced. Let's say, okay, so I'm going to bring the output ceiling a little bit down, maybe about 0.2. So the limiter is going to catch whatever ceiling is reaching here, and we don't get the red light. L2 takes care of that. I'm going to disable this for a moment here. Shout me out, guys, if you're out there. Tune in on Pristine Production. This won't be a long tutorial. So you want to start generally at about negative 12. So let's take the faders maybe a little bit before that here. I'm going to take down all the faders here. Now you can do it that way. You can take the instruments, the tracks down, or you can go in the individual clip and bring down a clip gain. Let's say I highlight everybody, and let me zoom in a bit here. Where is gain envelope? Okay. There is the gain line, the gain clip, and I can take all the tracks. I can take the tracks down individually if I want. That's going to lower the volume, but still you need to take the fader below 0, because even if it's quiet, it kind of tempts you to push the fader past 0. I'm gonna undo what I did. Okay. Hope you're following me, guys. Now, also, so we take it down, right? So I'm gonna show some tricks here. I'm gonna, since we're going a little bit under 12 here, I'm gonna, just for the sake of tutorial here, I'm gonna highlight all the tracks, all of them. I'm gonna be bussing out of the mix bus. So I'm gonna go here. I'm going to mix bus. Okay. Okay, now so Let me go ahead and hit. Okay. And which instrument you might ask where do you start mix from? Don't really matter. Let's start from here. I'm going to turn up my monitor. So let's go about what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on the mix. Everything now is coming out of the mix bus. So I'm going to add an SSL compressor here. Let's get a little bit more volume from the mix. And the good thing about Gainstaging, guys, is that you don't clip the plugins, you don't clip the tracks. You're gonna get a beautiful mix. Let's play. Let's go back here. Turn the attack down. So let's go back again. And here's a trick here. If I wanted, I could add, if I go on input controls, it's Studio 1.5 by the way, I could go ahead and actually add more volume back with the input. Check this out. Without messing with the fader. And this is if the instrument is too quiet. You want to bring it a nice bounce level, but I don't need to do it in this session here. So let's mess around with the marimba. Right about there. I'm gonna bring in a kick. Right about there. I'm gonna bring in the bass. I'm gonna bring in the second pluck sound here. As you can see, I'm keeping it under 0. Bring up the snare drum. Feeling it out, guys. A little bit of live drum there. Live hats, horns. Now there will be times when let's say everything is kind of getting nice, and when I start to add like plugins to the signal, for example, this sound right here. Let's say I add something like a compressor or an NLS saturation plug here. This is going to add more harmonics. It's going to add more dynamics and volume. Check this out. Turn it up. Off. Now using the plugin is better than pushing the fader all the way up. You want to make fader little decisions here and there. Remember, the plugin eats up headroom as well. So I'm going to turn this all the way out. Let's try the mic. Too much. Doesn't sound bad, but I don't want that. So if I know this fader here is going a little bit too high, close to 0, because I want to keep the relatively balance underneath 0, I'm going to use this plugin. maybe a tape, desk, tube, analog compressor, and I can control the output here. But since we're getting more volume, I can bring this fader down so I can get a nice balanced mix. And if you ever need to, let's say, group everything again and bring it back down, a little bit down, that will help you maintain gain stage. The reason why, because when we're reaching the end here, the limiter is already close to hitting the ceiling. I'm going to check the LMS, the loudest meter here. Okay, we're doing about negative 19 WFS. So what create volumes in the mix? The plugins you add more eat up headroom, the volume of the fader, the effects you use. If these things are clipping, there are cases where you can get a little bit in the red and it still sounds good. They call it good grit, but you don't want to do that for all the instruments in your session. So now, let's say I have the mix set here. And let's say I wanted a little bit more fatness to the drums. Let me show how when you mix with more plugins and stuff, you're gonna get more headroom eating up. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take all the drums and I'm gonna bust them. Hope you guys are watching and learning as I go ahead. So I'm gonna isolate everything that's called the drums. Here's the hats, here's the kick, here's the rim shot. So I'm gonna take these sounds here. Let's click on them. A little mistake. I don't want a bass. I don't want this. Okay. I'm gonna put these in the drum sub. Here we go. Now I can solo adjust the drums. Now I can add parallel compression here. Check this out. I'm gonna add it to the center DR. Automatically, it's getting louder. Let's see how loud it is. It's getting fairly loud. Now in this case, the drums is coming out of the drums up here. So what can I do in this case? If the drums are getting a little bit too hot, maybe you can drop the level from here, which I don't normally practice that. I leave like the parallel drum tracks here at the 0, and this is automatically helping me to reach our goal, which is to mix fat. That's without the parallel compression. This is with, and that kind of forces me to rebalance the rest of the instruments. So let's go ahead and do that. But we're keeping an eye on the limiter here. I'm gonna bring this a little bit up more. Let's bring it back to bass. So we're going close to a -6 now, since our drums are a little bit louder. And then maybe we can do a little bit of panning. One to the right, one to the left. Keeping an eye on the limiter here. We're getting close to the ceiling here. Let's bring in the rest of the instruments here. Let's check the NLS. So you see, guys and girls, automatically when you start to mix with power, it also kind of forces you or keep you in check to bring up the other instruments. How do we do that? We take the plugins like the NLS and add a little bit more meat and bring up the balance. Remember, we want to stay under the 0 or directly on the 0. So that's what I want to share with you guys. It's very tricky. We got to keep checking our tracks, make sure nothing's clipping. And this is how we do the gain stage. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm already seeing here a little bit of ping happening on this bus. Bring the threshold down a little bit. So I'm gonna stop there, guys. Remember to hit me up. Support Pristine Production. This has been Gainstaging the mix. So I'll catch you guys on